Hey, Chris Jenkins, credentialed member of the media covering the Carolina Panthers for Charlotte Vibe, a.k.a. Man of the People. You have a friend of the media, which is myself. Any questions that you may have about this Carolina Panthers team, I'm your guy to get those questions answered for you, and I'm smiling. It's progress. Progress is being made. I have been a fan of Dave Canales since the beginning, thinking that he is the guy for the job. Knowing a lot of patience, not a lot, but some patience would be required. And I think that we're starting to see that. So I got a question of the day that I'm going to present to you all in just a second. But first, let me tell you the final score. The Carolina Panthers 27, Kansas City Chiefs 30. Kansas City Chiefs winning on a last-second field goal. You know, I'm thankful that it wasn't by Harrison Butker because I think everybody would be having a cow like, we had that guy. Yes, we had that guy, but he's now a member of the Kansas City Chiefs. But nevertheless, the Kansas City Chiefs did have a field goal in the closing seconds, walk-off field goal, if you will, to win this game. Again, final score 30-27 for the Carolina Panthers. And I got a few things that I'm going to go over for you guys here in just a second. But let me first go ahead and present to you this question of the day. And I'm going to play a clip for you. I interviewed Jordan Matthews earlier this week for the Carolina Panthers earlier on. So if you guys haven't checked it out, please click on the link on YouTube to go and see all of those. Click on the link in YouTube. You'll be able to see all the videos. You'll be able to see that interview that I did with Jordan Matthews. But I really enjoyed my interview with Jordan because I feel like the guy was really transparent and gave me a chance to see a different perspective on what these players may think and feel about head coach Dave Canales. So I'm going to play this clip, and then we're going to go ahead and get into, as usual, our photos from the game. We had the best photographer in the NFL covering the Carolina Panthers for us. So we're going to go through some game photos, we'll go through some stats, and then we'll go through some thoughts that I have about the game. But first, let me play this clip from Jordan Matthews, and I want you guys to answer the question about, again, do you feel like Dave Canales is the right guy for this job and that we're now building the culture that we need to be on the right trajectory for long-term success? Here you go, Jordan Matthews.
He knows it's a marathon, and he treats it like one. So, like, his patience, I think, is one thing that stood out to me. Like, he's like, this is our scheme. This is how we marry up everything. Mm-hmm. We're going to trust it. It's going to work. Whereas I've seen coaches after a loss, 2 losses, 4 losses, start to get flustered, and now it's like, all right, scrap that. We're 100%. It's like, no, we've got a process. This is how it's going to work. And he has methods. Like, he's done things. I know, like, people are like, how's this thing going with Bryce? How's this thing going? He's handled all those things as good as any head coach can handle it. And now, as a team, you see us starting to mesh. You see the run game starting to come together. Mm-hmm. You see the defense starting to get the ball out. These are all things that he preached early on.
There it is. Jordan Matthews talking about Dave Canales and the patience that he's had, the consistency that he's had, the fact that when things started to get tough, he didn't go and bail on what his philosophy was and how he wanted to build this team. And he said you can see the guys, you can see everything starting to come together. And sure enough, these past 3 games, Saints, Giants, and here against the defending back-to-back Super Bowl champions, we had a ball game. We had, honestly, a great ball game today with the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're going to get into that more. Want to, again, hear you guys' comments. We got our members signing on, so thank you all for tuning in. Ali Bodrick's tuning in. Hello. Darrell tuning in. Hello. T. Green has tuned in as well. Thank you all so much for tuning in. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these pictures from today. So here you got Adam Thielen going for a catch here. Well defended. And was not able to pull that one in. That was probably one of the many ones that he had a pass interference on. And then, you know, Adam Thielen says that he loves to play football. And if you don't think this guy loves to play football, just check out these photographs here. Today, even when he wasn't catching the ball, he was getting penalties and pass interference, and he was loving it. He got racked on this play, and he loved the fact that the flag got thrown in this call and continue to give the team a chance to win. Here we go. Chuba Hubbard. That's our guy. That's our guy that's been giving us an opportunity. Scored there, giving us a chance to make this game a victory. Didn't quite get it, but, man, I'll take a game like today anytime against the defending Super Bowl champs that you're able to do that. There's our guy Patrick Mahomes showing some emotions during the game. leading his team to a victory today. The Kansas City Chiefs are now 10-1 and continue to have a good position to get the top seed in their conference. And guess what? And I'm going to get to these stats here in just a moment. We got to Patrick Mahomes. I think I didn't have a chance to look this up, guys, but I feel like we got to Patrick Mahomes more than we've gotten to any quarterback this season. So that paid dividends for us as, again, we had a game worth watching today. And then our guy Bryce Young. I like this game today. What do you think of Bryce Young and his game today? Not only was he throwing the ball pretty decently, but he was running around out there, making it happen, keeping plays alive. And I believe on this play toward the end of it, he took an interesting slide. He kind of took some baby steps and sat down there. I'm sure he's going to work on that slide at some point, but he got other things to worry about. And then we have our guy Chuba Hubbard, who runs hard. I don't know if there's any guy in the league, or it might be one guy in the league that runs more hard than Chuba Hubbard with his yards after contact. I forget, I saw a stat. Chuba has a ton of yards after the first contact. Here we go, Xavier Legette. You guys know I'm taking a drink of my water here. We got Xavier Legette, who said that he doesn't mind a little physical football. And there you see him being physical after the catch, stiff arming, trying to get some extra yards, running down the field there. And there's Xavier. I feel like I skipped over some pictures here, though. Yeah, we got more pictures. Here we go. Patrick Mahomes running down the sideline. This guy always knows where that first down marker is. This was him reaching for the first down. I'm not sure if this is the one where he got it or not, but, you know, awesome player. Definitely an awesome player. Then here you see the Chiefs celebrating their game-winning field goal kick as time expired. The Chiefs won on that field goal kick right there. And how about this? A salute to service today here in Carolina's NFL recognized its service members throughout the entire game. The full flag, which is one of my favorites. You can see the fireworks being fired upon on both sides of the field. There was a helicopter fly over. I think it was about 4 helicopters that flew over. So, again, thanks everyone for our service. I know I have a son in the military. My photographer has some sons in the military as well. So, beautiful thing now here today as the service members were recognized at Bank of America Stadium. And here, post-game, the tradition continues. Win or lose, these guys will get their post-game hugs and sharing a moment after the game. I know that was a tough loss today, and I believe Canales said there's no moral victories. And, again, I like this guy. And here, Ja'Tavion Sanders on the injury, man. As soon as he landed, he had a fist that he pounded the ground with. He was frustrated. They took him to the hospital after the game for more precautionary reasons about his neck. I hadn't had a chance to get into the locker room to get all the latest updates, but it seems like he may be doing fine. I know he has some movement in his lower extremities. Here's a pass breakup by the Jackson on the Chiefs here. Good game, good photograph. I'm sorry. And Jadeveon Clowney, man, we got some sacks today. So he's celebrating with Josie Jewell after the sack. Travis Kelce getting stopped there. And then here again, we got it more than one time because it happened more than one time. Patrick Mahomes on the ground with the Carolina Panther above him, getting the sack. I believe that's Wanham with the sack on that play. Good game by Wanham. This guy has come back, and he has not missed a step since being out, and that is great for Jadeveon Clowney to do what he's doing. Adam Thielen there with the catch that he wasn't able to bring in. And I think we already cycled through some of these, so I went out of order there. But there you have it. Again, some great photographs by the one and only Patrick Snyder, the best photographer that you will see covering an NFL game, and we're lucky to have him with us here at Charlotte Vibe. You want to continue to see more pictures? Just jump on over to Instagram throughout the week. We'll be posting plenty more photographs during the week there for you guys to see. So let's go ahead and get into some of these stats from today's game. We're going to go ahead and start with Bryce Young. Bryce Young was 21 of 35 for 263 yards, a 7.5-yard average, 1 TD, and check this out, no interceptions. Also, let's take a note of that average there, a 7.5 average. So there's no secret, there's no doubt Bryce Young is playing like a different guy. He's playing like a guy who's been taking advantage of that time that he had off, reset everything. He's spoken about becoming more comfortable. I know today in the postgame he talked about appreciating his teammates for the conversations that they have over and over to make sure they get on the same page and they're able to put out a better product out there. So things are continuing to develop. I didn't have a chance to, again, see that postgame press conference as I have to set up and come out here on the field for you guys. I'm curious if Coach Canales has named him the starter. I'm going to take a peek really quickly to see if I can see whether or not he has done so. If he hasn't, shame on him. But let me see if I can quickly see if he was willing to do that or not. I do have news that Jatavian Sanders has been discharged from the hospital, so that is a very positive sign for him. Again, Jatavian Sanders has been discharged from the hospital. All right, so we're going to continue to work through these stats, and now we're going to flip over to the rush. Chuba Hubbard, 16 carries for 58 yards, 3.6-yard average, 1 TD, a long of 13. Now, what's interesting about this is during that pregame show, I'll let you all know, in case you haven't had a chance to check it, I said, this Kansas City Chiefs team, they have a really good defense. And though they have allowed a total of over 60 yards rushing, they haven't allowed a running back to have more than 60 yards rushing in a game. So, guess what happened today? Chuba Hubbard, let's put it back up there on the screen for you. Chuba Hubbard, 58 yards rushing with a 3.6 average. He still did not get to 60 yards, which is something that the Chiefs, I'm sure, are celebrating on. And how about this? Bryce Young, 3 carries, 20 yards with a long of with a long of 11. And then our guy, Jonathan Brooks, got some playing time today, 2 rushes for 7 yards, 3.5-yard average. So we got a chance to see Jonathan Brooks today, finally. Didn't get a chance to see him too much at all. I have to go back to my notes, but I don't think that Brooks got out to the field into the second half. And, Jonathan Stewart made a surprise appearance in our pregame show. Appreciate you, Stu, for stopping by. He said what he wanted to see out of Jonathan Brooks today from the team was just take it slow. He said, don't rush it. You got plenty of time. Take it slow. I don't know if Jonathan went and whispered in Dave Canales' ear because they are indeed taking it slow. I thought, honestly, that we would see more of Jonathan Brooks today. I thought we'd see him more spread out, just kind of move him all around. But nope, they didn't do that. They're taking it pretty slow with Jonathan Brooks, and he had those 2 carries. Let's go ahead and talk about our receivers. And good job by this team of knowing who to shuffle in and get out there on that field to give Bryce some help. It was a surprise that Jalen Coker was inactive today, but guess who showed up? A guy that we haven't seen much of, if at all. David Moore came out with 6 receptions, 81 yards, 13.5-yard average, had a TD, 10 targets. That's pretty good for David Moore. I think some of those are career highs for him. I have not had a chance to double check and go back into things, but great game from David Moore. Xavier Legette, I'm just going to pause for a second because I'm going to go back and talk about it a little bit. This is still a work in progress, all right? So I'm not going to be overly critical about some of the things that I saw that were negative. I'm going to mention them, but I'm going to say this is progress. This is the progress that we want to see. This is good progress. This is progress that I'm sure our owner, David Tepper, should be happy about. But let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of these stats. So Xavier Legette, stats right there, 56 yards. Adam Thielen in his first game back did pretty good. Caught 3 of 4 balls that were thrown his way for 57 yards. And then we have Devin Tompkins, Jatavian Sanders, Chuba Hubbard, and Tommy Tremble filling out the rest of it right there. All right, let's go ahead and go over to the defensive side. Defense was pretty good today. Pretty good today. Defensively, Josie Jewell led us in tackles with 9. And I don't think we have everybody's sack on here, but we have a sack by Josie Jewell, a sack by J.C. Horn, which was incredible timing. And I'm going to ask a question about what you all think about if Arrow continue to be our defensive coordinator. We also have DJ Wanham getting another sack. This guy's been great since his return. Jadavian Clowney get a sack and a half. Deshaun Williams with the sack. Man, we had some sacks today. Our total sacks on the day for the Carolina Panthers, 5 sacks today. 5 sacks, 8 tackles for a loss. That's something to be happy about. I thought I'd close this out. Yeah, that's something to be happy about, right? So here's what happened today. I said, we've been having some turnovers. That's helped us when we were in New York. I'm sorry, when we played against the Giants in Munich, getting those turnovers, that gave us an opportunity to take that game into overtime, and Eddie Pinheiro came out, kicked the game winner. Today, we didn't get any turnovers. None. No turnovers. We didn't give away the ball either, which was good. But what we did do was get sacks, 5 sacks, and that helped us play the game that we did. And, again, coming down to the last second. And if you guys don't want to do it, I'm going to do it right now. Give this team a round of applause because they went toe-to-toe with the champs, and they did well. Just you thought it could get ugly. I mean, this, again, I give a lot of praise, a lot of kudos to Dave Canales and this team for how they are developing and where they are going. So normally, Frank Wright team, a Matt Rule team, you see things just fall apart. This is week, gosh, I think it's 12. Don't quote me on that. But we're deep into the season. We're deep into the season, and we're talking about a game that was very competitive against Super Bowl champs. Unfortunately, yes, this did come into a Kansas City Chiefs takeover. But we're talking about a team playing good football, and it's almost December. That is progress. That is something that I think we can all hang our hat on and be a little excited about it. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about some things in particular from this game, some observations that I have. And as always, we'll continue to have our post-game show tomorrow, where we have an hour-long show dedicated 100% to answering your questions. So if I don't have a chance to get to any of the questions coming through tonight, don't worry. We'll be back on tomorrow, and we'll dedicate that full show towards answering any questions and all questions that you all have. So give me just a second to get over to my notes from the game, and we're going to go through it all. Just a second. All right, let's find the notes. All righty. I got my notes in front of me. So we're going to go ahead and break this game down for you. Actually, let me touch on a few comments. See what you guys are saying out there before we continue to work through it. By the way, you guys have been doing great in supporting the GoFundMe campaign that we have up. We're almost 3/4 of the way to our goal, so if you're able to, there's a link in the description. If you're not on YouTube, just go over to our YouTube channel. I know we're also broadcasting on Twitter and Facebook, but you can jump on over to our YouTube channel, see the link in the description to contribute to our GoFundMe. Also, there's a Cash App if you want to do that instead to get us some funds to help us. But we're needing one more piece of equipment to continue to improve upon our live streaming, and if you're able to do that, again, great. Few comments we're going to go through. Ali Bodrick, welcome back, Chris. I'm very proud on how competitive this team was and how well Bryce Young played today. Darrell says, good game, entertaining. Jay Stu was right. Bryce cooked. Yes. Give me a second to take a drink. All right, let's see if I can check out one more comment. Good friend T. Green says, it wasn't 8 sacks. It was 5 sacks. But, yes, we got some sacks on good old Mahomes. T. Green said Derrick Henry runs the hardest by far. He does run the hardest, but Chuba's certainly doing some good things. And Donald Duck You're back, Donald Duck. You're back. Good to see you back, Donald. Bryce really went toe-to-toe with Mahomes. Keep it up. So, yeah, let's go ahead and break down this game a little bit more for you guys, all right? Let me see if I can change our broadcast quality here. I don't know if I can. Yeah, we're already started, so I can't do that. I was going to go in 4K for you guys, but I forgot to do that before the start of the broadcast. So we're going to stay in standard definition, 1080p for those techies out there. Let's talk about this game and how let's talk about the toe-to-toe matter of this game. So possession-wise, here's what happened today. In the first half, Kansas City scored on every single possession that they had. And when I tell you that happened, before to this team, I'll just take you back to when it all started in New Orleans. They scored on 8 straight possessions, something like that, and it was ridiculous. But here's the difference. We had an answer today for everything that they did, which made it a ball game. So they scored on all their possessions in the first half. But guess what? I think it's easy to get overshadowed by all the lack of success, that when our team is actually putting up a good fight, you kind of don't realize it that much until you look at the stats and kind of think about it. We scored on every possession in the first half as well, except for one. Right? Kansas City scored on every possession. We scored on every possession but one in that first half. And then we started off the second half, and guess what? We scored on the opening drive of the second half, which was important. And we actually scored on every possession in the second half but one. So think about that. 4 possessions in the first quarter, we scored on 3 of them. 4 possessions in the first half. 4 possessions in the second half, and we scored on 3 of them. Kansas City scored on all of theirs. And then let me see if I can get this right here. Now, unfortunately, Kansas City scored, but then here's what happened. Late in the game, when we needed it the most, you kept thinking, like, if we could – I said, man, we're not going to win a shootout with this Kansas City Chiefs. This bodes well for them. They have the Super Bowl champ over there. They got a guy with lots of experience at being great. We got a guy that's trying to get his rhythm to start to get his confidence back, and we needed a stop. We just had to get a stop, and guess what? We got the stop. We got the stop that we've been needing to have all game, and forced a punt, and then we didn't do anything with it. And I was thinking, oh goodness, here we go. We did exactly what we've been needing to do all game, haven't done all game. We stopped them, and then we go, I think it was about a 3-and-out. Did we go 3-and-out? We had 4 plays. We did a 4-and-out. I said, good gracious, what are we doing here? But we need to stop them again. I hadn't stopped them all game. And guess what? The Carolina Panthers defense stopped the Kansas City Chiefs one more time. So that gave us another opportunity, and we scored. Unfortunately, they came back, as you know, won the game. I feel like a little bit of that toward the end of the game with Mahomes and him scrambling. He was right here on this side of the field near running out of bounds. And some guys might have thought that he was going out of bounds, kind of let up a little bit, and he stayed in bounds and ran all the way down to almost right behind me. And ultimately, they allowed Kansas City to kick a field goal and win this game. But I first just wanted to point out the fact that, yeah, this was like a heavyweight battle, man. It was really literally back and forth the entire game. So hats off to the Carolina Panthers for that improvement that they're continuing to show. Now, we had some good things that happened today. So I'm going to talk about some of the good things that happened. Xavier Legette blocking downfield on a 3rd down conversion by Adam Thielen. That was awesome to see. He said it earlier in the week that that's something that they've been coaching to him more often is, hey, stay on your blocks, block downfield. And he said, it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just something that they're reminding him of a lot more at this level than it was in college. And he says he likes it. He's not afraid to block. So he showed that today, helping Adam Thielen get down the field for a big gain on a pivotal 3rd down at early on in the game. And then defense stepping up today. I've already touched on that a little bit, but I'm talking about recapping the positive things from today. The defense, I know there's criticism out there about Ivero, but here's what you have to look at from today is early on, Patrick Mahomes had guys that were wide open. I mean, they had like plenty of space all around them to just kind of jog it in, okay? And as the game went on, those windows started to shrink and shrink and shrink. That is the only way you start to get this team into the fact of now where they have not punted all game long, you have made some punts. So some adjustments were being made for this defense to continue to put the offense into the position to win. As Rashad said earlier, some complementary football is needed, and some complementary football took place. And then Bryce Young today, giving guys opportunities to make plays. Throwing the ball down deep many times. He had a pretty pass that I'm not going to talk about that one yet because it's going to go on my bad side. But, again, Bryce was extending the play, running the ball when he needed to. He didn't seem to be fleeing out the pocket too quick. He had a lot of confidence in throwing several deep balls today. He had several balls that he threw and put some air under it, but he put the air under it in a position where it was a 50-50 ball, but the opportunity was given mostly to his wide receiver because all the wide receiver had to do was keep that defender on his hip and go and try to make the catch. And a few of those resulted in pass interference and continued to keep the drive alive and ultimately allow the Panthers to score. So those little things like that, keeping the ball alive with his feet, sliding when he needs to slide, throwing the ball deep, throwing the ball 50-50 balls in a way that it really gives your side the best opportunity and not both guys equal opportunity to make that. That's some pretty good improvement and nice things to see from Bryce Young. So now let's go ahead and touch on a few things that were not so great from today's game, all right? A few things that were not as good. And Chuba had some uncharacteristic drops today. Let me take another drink. Chuba Hubbard today had 2 drops. The first one seemed kind of weird. I hate to sound like a coach say I want to go back to the tape. Seems kind of weird in that, was it like too far behind him? Was it too low? But nevertheless, he dropped it. And then the second one he clearly dropped. So Chuba having some drops today, I'm not worried about it, but it was just something that I did observe from today that we had some of those drops. Xavier Legette, he's a rookie. So, I'll give him a little bit of grace, but Xavier Legette, honestly, guys, when I was watching, I said, I don't know if that just took all the steam out of this team, right? That was a really golden opportunity. Bryce threw a very nice ball, like the perfect amount of air, the perfect amount of distance. Everything was really nice about that ball. Xavier played it well, got his hands on it, and just could not bring it in. And at that point, I said, man, they're now not in a good position. That might take a lot of the steam out. Next play comes back. Again, I'm just being critical of Xavier. Have confidence that he's going to continue to be a guy that studies the film, listens to his coaches, and gets these things fixed. But on the next play, Xavier catches the ball, and he steps back. He only needed like 2 more yards. He stepped back after getting the ball to face the defenders and got tackled. And I was like, "Why? Just go forward, young man. Go forward and get the first down." But again, this team persevered through it, and they still were able to keep that drive alive and ultimately score. But those are some criticisms that I have from Xavier Legette today. And then, much respect, but my guy J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn today had a lot of penalties, and I'm sure he's been asked about it. We'll have some more to report on that. He had 3 defensive holdings in the first half. Not 1, not 2, but 3 defensive holdings in the first half. And then he also had a pass interference in the second half. So 4 major penalties on J.C. Horn today. Had a game that was, I guess I'd call it a little up and down for J.C. today. Is that, those things are not good things you want to see from a guy with his amount of experience, his skill set to get those kind of calls today, but he did get a lot of them. But they gave him a call toward the end of the game. I think it was a great call by Ivero, in which it was 3rd and long. They need to get a stop again. And it was somewhat risky, but I feel like Ivera was confident with the risk because they were at the 50, and they still had quite a distance to go. So if you send JC quickly, like the risk is that Patrick could see somebody's open and get the ball downfield, but they had so far to go, you think, well, maybe they could still catch them if that completion in that scenario worked out before they got the first down. But as you all know, we did not have to worry about that. J.C. Horn hit it perfectly. He actually came up a little bit on that play, and then as he snapped, he just kind of walked back like this. They'll take a few steps back, and then perfectly, great timing. As soon as Mahomes got him ready, J.C. got ready, took off, got the sack for a loss, and it forced the Kansas City Chiefs to punt the ball and put us in a position to potentially win the game. But again, great game today. Final score, Kansas City 30, Carolina Panthers 27. And, yeah, next up we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming here to Bank of America Stadium. That game will be a later game, all right? That game will be a 4 o'clock game. So for those of you who like to make fun of my coats and jackets and keep it warm, you're going to see a lot of it next week because most of that game will be at night with no sun, and it will be some cooler temperatures. But we'll certainly be here live giving you some more updates about this Carolina Panthers team. So that's it. That is our recap for today. Great game. How are you guys feeling? Let me see if I can check out a few comments before I get on out of here today. Let's see what we got here. T. Green. Jared Barringer says, great quarterback play today. Just keep pushing the ball downfield and wins will come. Your boy Kale's good game by the Panthers today. Them boys showed heart and soul on the field, and that's all we can ask for. If we step up our red zone, we could have won. Salute to Bryce Young. He is definitely getting better. Rory says, good mix of receivers today. Shaked, no, there's no call-in link today. That call-in link will be tomorrow. Everyone needs to call more for more blitzes than that's how Horn sacked Mahomes. Okay. Shaked wants Evero to go. No worries there. Varsity Kitty, this was a good game. I'm excited for the future of the team. And, again, I want to hear you guys comment on this. If you have optimism now for this Carolina Panthers team under head coach Dave Canales, and I have not been able to watch the post-game press conference to hear what he said about Bryce Young, but I said it before the game. I'll say it now. If he does not anoint Bryce Young the starter, it frustrates me a lot. But as long as he does, in fact, continue to let Bryce Young start, I don't feel like there's any way that you could pull Bryce Young at this point. This team has been completely different with Bryce being back, okay? We lost the first game. We won 2. We lost this one at the last second. This is now a competitive football team. That's progress. I think that'll make so many of us like this. Again, it's December, just about, and we're watching a competitive football team. That is awesome. I distinctly remember last season the shutouts. I mean, we could not score a point to close out the season. It's like you just felt like there was no hope. No hope. And now there is absolutely hope with this team. So I agree with you there, Forest City Kitty. Isaac Williams, improvement is always great. I think we really need some youth from the draft to help depth in the future. So, yeah, the next step, this seems like this was a pretty good draft by Dan Morgan and company with the talent that they've gotten. And now will be a test and seeing can they do it again this offseason. It'll be very important for them to make some good decisions this offseason to get another group of good guys in here that are young and also deciding on quarterback Bryce Young. But, yeah, got some good youth, and good youth means that we can have sustained success. If these guys are older, you don't really know how long you'll have that success, right, or that potential. But now with so many of these guys young, this is the sweet spot, Carolina Panther fans. This is the sweet spot that you've been wanting to get in, to where you can say, I don't know how long, but guess what? We got some guys on some rookie contracts, which means they could easily be re-signed. And, you know, you might not get all of them, but because you never know how everybody's trajectory will continue to be. But, you know, we got Chuba. He's a big part of our success right now. You got Brooks on a rookie contract, like all these guys. So, yeah, I think it's okay to get some excitement towards the youth that we have and things being good in the future. Just again checking through the comments before we get out of here. What's up, Christopher Johnson? Shaked said Bryce is starting next week, so I'm assuming that coach did say that Bryce is starting next week. Again, you guys can help me a little bit if you hear some word of things, because we don't have our full staff, and again, I'm not able to go into the press conferences and locker rooms right after the game because I'm coming out here on the field to do these live shows. And yeah, that's good that he did that. Shout out to the workers that have to clean up all that trash after the game. Can you see them or can you hear them? Yeah, the workers get out here pretty quickly, and there's quite a crew of them to clean up after the game. So, yes, that happened. Carolina Panthers, again, final score 30. I'm sorry, Kansas City Chiefs 30, Carolina Panthers 27. Next up will be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That is a 4 o'clock kickoff next Sunday. I'll continue to be in the locker room this week. If you haven't checked out my one-on-one interview with Jordan Matthews, please consider checking that out. Next up for the one-on-one interviews, because you all have requested that they come back, will be our kicker, currently the best kicker in history. Eddie Pinheiro. Will be trying to sit down with him. And then we'll have one more to-be-named player that I'll sit down with. And if you guys have any questions for Eddie Pinheiro that you'd like for me to ask, you know it, man of the people, leave them in the comments, and I will consider adding those to the list of questions to ask. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Chris Jenkins reporting live from Bank of America Stadium for Charlotte Vibe.